Hello and welcome to part 13 of my Let's Play series of videos for Dwarf Fortress. So I started looking around at my fortress and it occurred to me that if I lived here I'd be really pissed off. The reason why is that if we go downstairs, basically we have 5 beds for a population of 18 dwarves, dramatically increasing their risk of getting pubic lobsters, and the dining room has 1 table and no chairs. And nobody has any kind of individual bedroom. The whole place is just carved out of clay. It's all shitty and not made out of stone. So we're going to dedicate most of this episode to making the fort a little bit more habitable, and this should give our dwarves more happy thoughts. So let me pause for a second and we'll look at how to do that. Okay, first things first. This is not entirely necessary, but your dwarves will absolutely love you for it. What we're going to do is make individual bedrooms for all of the dwarves. So instead of having a dormitory like this one, where they're splitting the beds up, they're going to each have their own individual room with their own bed. It's going to have its own door, so they can go in there and do whatever. So what I'm going to do is go down a couple levels here. And so here was a shaft that I tunneled out earlier, and doesn't really serve any purpose right now, but looking at it, this actually will serve a good starting point for kind of a cluster of individual rooms. So I'm going to pause the video and start designating this, and then I'll explain what I've done and why. Okay, so check this out. Basically what I've done is I've created a complex of bedrooms here and here that are organized into little pods. Now, anytime you are trying to design living quarters and just for your fortress in general, you want to try to minimize congestion, centralize things, and kind of pay attention to where your dwarves hang out and try to put areas that are related close to each other. So dwarves tend to eat and sleep a lot, so it makes sense for them to have access to a dining hall that's near where they sleep. So what I've done is I've created some room in the middle of these 2 corridors with the bedrooms to be the new dining room, and I'm hoping that this dining room will become legendary through stone smoothing and liberal use of nice tables and chairs and engravings and all kinds of stuff like that. This little offshoot over here will be a kind of deluxe suite for my bookkeeper, who's going to need his own office and a little bedroom for him as well. So the bookkeeper, as I mentioned before, is a noble that you appoint to this office that helps increase the accuracy of your numbers, your stocks and stores, your food items and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause the game and let this start digging. It's going to take a while. So in the meantime, I'll keep it paused. While those guys are digging and in anticipation of furnishing all those rooms downstairs, I'm going to need to make a bunch of things. First of all, I'm going to want to make a bunch of beds. So I'll need to go do that from the carpenter's workshop up on the surface. So here's the carpenter workshop. Right now I have him making a bunch of bins. I'm going to have him stop doing that for now and move over to making beds so I can furnish these accommodations. So let's just go ahead and press C to cancel out all of these, and I'm going to make him do beds instead. And I'll put it on repeat for now by pressing R so that he's just going to continually make beds. As long as I'm at it, I'm going to need some more wood, so I'm going to designate trees to be chopped down. And there's a bunch that are right here in front of my fortress, so get this low-hanging fruit before I make him go run all over the map. So I'll get these nominated here, designated, and then I can unpause and people will start chopping down the trees and keeping my carpenter supplied with a nice stock of lumber. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is make doors for the bedrooms. They're not strictly speaking necessary, but it will give your dwarves happy thoughts to have a more fully furnished room, and door as part of that. So I'm going to come to the mason's workshop. I'm going to do door, and I'm also going to put that one on repeat. And I see that I actually have some extra tables and chairs here in this area right here. I've got 3 tables and a couple of chairs. So I'm just going to go ahead and get those built here for now. It can't hurt. I can always move them later, and I'll show you how to do that. So we'll build those. So there's still kind of a shortage of chairs, but that's okay. This only is going to be a temporary dining room until we get the super dining room downstairs finished. Anyway, when I resume the game, this stuff will all get moved into place. I'm going to go ahead and pause it for now. So it's worth mentioning that the quality of stone in the walls of your room affects the thoughts of the dwarf that will be in there. So for this reason, when you have nobles and stuff, which we'll talk about later, which are very finicky and prone to so-called unfortunate accidents, you can improve their happy thoughts by making sure they have rooms that are clad in valuable stone. So I was fortunate enough to embark on a map where there's a lot of obsidian, and obsidian, if I remember correctly, is a pretty valuable stone. So these rooms should give my dwarves some pretty happy thoughts. And I see there's some copper ore even down here. I'm reluctant to give somebody a room with copper walls. I kind of want to just mine this out, but whatever. So let me repause it and let these guys go to work. And this might be a good opportunity to talk about quantum stockpiles, actually, seeing as how there's so much stuff down here that's kind of getting in the way. So I thought I'd point out, it's interesting that one of my miners, now, you know, I'm only, I would say, less than an hour into this game, and one of my miners is already legendary. You can tell that they're legendary because they blink blue, the actual unit blinks blue, and also if you go to the unit list, their name flashes like this, so you can see that my miner is now legendary. Pretty cool. He digs really fast. The downside, kind of, I mean, I guess it's up in the air whether it's a downside or not, is that the probability of mining out a square and leaving behind stone depends on the skill of your miner. So legendary miners pretty much always leave stone behind. Now that's not terrible because I love having all of this stuff, but it is getting in the way. So let me tell you about quantum stockpiles. Alright, so the way that a quantum stockpile works is you use the designation feature, D for designation, then B for set building item properties, and then D for dump items. So we're going to basically designate some stone to get dumped. I'm going to start small and just designate the stone that's in this office here, the office complex for my bookkeeper, to get dumped. Now you need to have somewhere for it to go, which means that you need to be introduced to a new concept, which is the concept of the zone. You access that menu by pressing I for zones right here. So you're going to press I. Now this is a little different because when you place a zone, you don't choose a type of zone before you place it. You actually choose a type of zone after you place it. So you can put it anywhere. So I'm going to put it somewhere where there's not a lot of stuff already, so I don't forget about it. I'm going to place it over here in the corner, and it doesn't need to be huge. It can just be, you know, 1 by 2. So we'll go ahead and place it, and now you see if I put my cursor near it, I've got some options. It's an activity zone, and I can say what kind of a zone I want it to be. This particular one I want it to be G, garbage dump. So now that I've done that, I can press escape, and now when I resume, theoretically, dwarves should start coming down here, grabbing this stone and hauling it to the dump. And sure enough, there they go. So where does the stockpile come into this? So it's important to point out that when you put things in a dump, you basically are forbidding them. What does it mean to forbid them? It means that craftsmen and any dwarf that would need to use this material for something, it's forbidden to them. When my mason comes down here looking for stone, he can't use any of the stuff that's in the dump. So the way that you get around that is you have to reclaim the stuff that's in this dump once you're done dumping into it. So I'm going to wait for these guys to get done getting everything out of here, and then I'll show you how to go about reclaiming this. So I'll pause it for a second. Alright, well, I'll just go ahead and resume it. So some people think this is sort of an exploit. Most people, or other people, agree that it's merely a creative use of game mechanics. But when you dump, everything you put in the dump can occupy. You can have an infinite number of objects occupy a small amount of space. It could be even one by one. Whereas a stockpile, if you remember up above, where we had set that custom stockpile for a mason, it's no longer there. He's used it all up, but there was a small stockpile of a particular type of rock, alunite, here. So dumps, on the other hand, they can be very small. So what you do to get access to these items back is, and I'll pause the game here, you're going to press D again for designations, you're going to press B again for this set building item properties, and then you see right here C, reclaim items buildings. So you're going to press C, and then you can come just click on this, these two squares, and now you have reclaimed these. And I believe you also need to remove the dump designation. I'm not 100% sure about that. Maybe if somebody wants to post in the comments and clarify, but I think that if you maybe leave the dump zone here, people will continue bringing things and dumping them, but you're going to have to keep coming back and reclaiming. So usually once you've got all the stuff where you want it, I usually just reclaim it and remove the dump designation. And the way that you do that is just by going to I zones and bringing your cursor over here, and then you press X to remove zones, and then you can actually just automatically remove the whole thing without having to use your cursor and stuff by holding down Shift and pressing X. Remove this zone. Cool. So I think that that's most of what I wanted to cover in this episode. Basically what I'm going to be doing now is just making sure that I have an ample supply of beds. So yeah, this carpenter has been going crazy making tons of beds. I've got probably like 15 beds up here now, a bunch of doors that my mason has been making non-stop right here, and I should probably get around to make some more tables and chairs for the super dining room. And I'll probably go ahead and just use the quantum stockpiling technique before the next video to remove all of this stone just to get it nice and cleaned up. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.